Everybody, good evening and welcome to our healthy eating session this evening. I hope you've had a very, very good day. I hope you've had a very good evening. It's been wet here and cold in spring, not very encouraging, but I choose to be hopeful. So I hope how has the weather been? If you could just put something in the chat box, let's see how your weather has been today and how the work has been today. So today we're going to be looking at, as usual, we're going to be starting with our healthy eating discussions. It's going to be another discussion. So yeah, horrible weather, very rainy. Oh dear. We have not even had any sunshine here in Chester. So yeah, if you've had a bit of sunshine where you are, good. Wet and a bit chilly, yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. And it's quite surprising in April, but then British weather, we all know how it is. Very unpredictable. So typically, as we would usually do, we would have the nutrition section for 1 hour, after which are we going to have the physical activity session today? So and after which we'll have the physical activity session. So if you could all please wait, and then you would have a very, very lovely time. Like I said, it's going to be very, very interactive. I'm hoping more people will join. So if you could please share the link so that would have more people join the session. It's going to be another very interesting evening. My name is Tokumbo Olayoju, and I am a registered nutritionist and also a lecturer of nutrition in Liverpool. So today, what are we talking about? We're going to be discussing something that seems to be a bit controversial, and there are differences in opinions about this topic, and it would be nice to actually hear what you think about this topic actually. So today we're looking at comparing frozen and homemade foods. And shortly after this, we'd also we're also going to be looking at the nutritional application of fresh fruits and veg, canned fruits and veg, and frozen fruits and veg. Like I said during the introduction, it is going to be interactive. So I would ask some questions, and I would really appreciate it if I could get some feedback, because I want to collect a bit of data as to the kind of responses we're going to be getting in some of the questions. That would help to give more context to this discussion, if that's okay. So moving forward. So we shall be discussing, like I said, prepacked frozen foods and versus homemade foods. Now, studies have suggested that nutritional composition of prepacked frozen foods and restaurant foods, they are not very different, so I'm just going to focus on prepacked frozen foods now and homemade foods. These are the two that seem to be quite different, And then we're also going to be looking at frozen or canned fruits and vegetables versus fresh fruits and vegetables, focusing on the health implication. So this is where I need some answers. How many people buy prepacked frozen foods? Let's leave the homemade foods for now. Let's just answer the questions for the prepacked frozen foods. I'm going to be typing some answers. No, I still want to share. I just don't want to. Okay. So I'm going to be typing your answers here, and then we'll see. So how many people, if you buy prepacked frozen foods from places like Iceland or Farm Foods or any of the other grocery stores, Tesco, any of those stores, or even our typical African takeaway, restaurants. If you do, could you please indicate so that I can put something in the chat? I could put something in this hour. Okay, yes. Araba and Jean-Marie, thank you. Millie Pizza. So we have 2 people. Anybody else? Okay, we have 3 people now. Who else? Okay, now let's not do fruits and veg. Let's focus only on the cooked meals. So things like pizza, for example. So fruits and veg, will come back to those, but fruits for meals. So fish fingers, they would go. Pizza, yes. T Brown, no. Okay, T Brown has said not meals, basically frozen vegetables. So let me see how many people we have. So we have 1, 2. Evans. Evan, do you do cooked meals or is it fruits and veg? Okay, Evan. Okay, all right. So it looks like we have 5 people here already. 1, 2, 3, actually. 3, 4. We have 4 people. So let me say 4 people. It doesn't matter if it is just every now and then, for as long as you buy ready-made pre-cooked meals, that's all we need. So out of 12 participants that we have now, 5 people have said they buy pre-cooked meals. Okay. Can I ask why? There are many reasons which we would come back to. People buy frozen foods. Okay. Martha, in this case, fish fingers will count as frozen foods in this case. Okay, convenience, cheap, easy, and convenient. Very good, very good. I need to put that down. Cheap, easy, convenient. Any other reason? Is there any other reason apart from the fact that it is cheap, it is easy, it is convenient? I cannot make them. So skill. In this case, that would be skill. So, comma, skill, tastes. Good, good, very good. Thank you very much for those answers. Now, how often would that be? Let's look at it number of times in a month. About the number of times in a month. Yeah. Fish fingers for grandson. Yes, some are tasty. About how many times in a month? Or is it if a month is too wide, should we say like how many times in a week? Could it be once a week or twice a week or once a month or twice a month? So how many times, for those who have said pizza, like twice in a year, okay? Twice in a year, that's good. That's a good one, thank you. Twice in a year, that's almost nothing. Rarely, maybe once a month for me. For husband is once a week, okay? So 5 times in a month, okay? All right. So that's about, on the average still, it's about once a week. So Jana said to buy or to eat, to buy and eat. As long as you're buying it, you would eat it at some point. So how often do you buy it? That's the question now. How often do you buy it? So so far it is looking like on the average once a week. So let me put, okay, I've seen once a month, once a month. So it's looking more like less than once a week. So less than once per week on the average. And then what kinds? You have said fish fingers, pizza. Which other meals do you buy? Let me go back up. There is one that you all have not mentioned that I am so sure everybody eats. on this platform? How many people? Waffles, chips, thank you. Waffles, chips. Okay, so how many people eat bread? Chicken nuggets, thank you. How many people eat bread? Is there anybody here who doesn't eat bread? Bread. Thank you. Bread. All right. So thank you for those answers. Thank you for those. And I'm sure bread will be every week, at least a loaf every week, depending on the number of people in the household. So let us go to homemade, not as soft. Okay. All right. Don't buy frozen bread. No, it doesn't have to be frozen as long as it is pre-cooked. So yes, yeah, you buy the dough instead. Ah, that's good. That's an interesting one. So let's go to the homemade. We have said that on the average, people tend to buy the pre-packed foods less than once a week. So does that mean that the rest of us do more of cooking? So how many people actually do cook? If you actually cook your meals, could you just, yeah? T Brown, thank you, yes. Who else? Evans, thank you. Evan, who else cooks? I just want to know how many. Nelly Everyday Jean, thank you. Martha, thank you. Oh, all meals from Fatima, thank you. So how many so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who else cooks? I know I cook. Okay, so 5 people. Why do you do your cooking yourself? Why do you do homemade foods? Is there any reason you choose to cook, to eat homemade foods? Satisfaction, tasty, good, thank you. Thank you for that. Oh, tastes. Healthy choices. That is a very important factor. Cost. So when you say cost, do you think it's cheaper than ready-made? Yes, okay. Okay, cost. Cheaper than ready-made. Okay, so thank you very much for those answers. The next question is how often? Somebody has, I said every day. Is that how it is for everybody else? Yeah, thank you. It's more healthy, less salt, cook in bulk, and free. I like that. Okay, so how often do we cook? How often do we cook our meals? Do we cook every day? Who cooks every day? As long as the day is called a day, you wake up in the morning, before the end of the day, you would have made an home-cooked meal and consumed for yourself or for your family. Is that the case for everybody here? If you could say yes. Okay, T. Brown has said yes, thank you. Evans, yes. Okay, thank you very much. Everybody, can anybody else give me? Okay, like twice or thrice in a week, almost every day, except when using home cooked from freezer. Yes, that I would still call that every day because as long as it's home cooked that you have put in the freezer. Shamaina, do you have a question? Your hand is up. Shamaina, have I said that right? Shamaima. Okay, all right, let's continue. Thank you very much. And then, no, I'm saying you cook every day. Okay, all right. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So what kind of foods do we cook? What kinds of food do we cook? If you just give me examples of your foods that you cook in the house. Do you make lots of stewed foods? Do you make lots of rice, noodles? When I say noodles, do you make noodles from scratch? Oh yeah, yummy jollof. Dr. Araba is looking for trouble. You're looking for trouble. I will say rice, yes. Rice, most rice pasta, okay. Rice, pasta. Any other meal that you cook? Oh, beans, thank you. Veggies. Thank you very, very much for these answers. Now, okay, fufu, potatoes. Oh, thank you. Banku. Okay, I'll just put swallow for all. Thank you very much for these answers. I really do appreciate that. Okay, so let's go back to slide share. So as you can see, almost everybody eats prepacked foods. We all eat bread. So everybody eats prepacked foods. And we have said a very good reason, some very, very important reasons why we actually eat these prepacked foods. And these reasons now, which is going to bring us to the next slide, these reasons that you have mentioned actually have been mentioned and discussed and confirmed in research. It is convenient. It takes short time. All you need to do is to get into the store. If you're buying pre-cooked, you're going to the store, you're buying, you have the money, you pay for it, you get out of the place. And then it is convenient. If you have had a very, very long day at work, you don't want to get to the kitchen to start cooking afresh, except if you are the type who does bulk cooking probably over the weekend, and then you store your food, and then all you need to do is to take it out, microwave, and eat. Cooking skills matters. Somebody mentioned that homemade bread is hard, and that is because of the skill. We do not have the skill that we need to be able to make soft, nice, fluffy, tasty bread. And as a result, we choose to buy. Now, cost also is important. Some people believe that ready-made foods are more expensive than homemade foods. And there are studies that have also actually implied that in terms of cost, there isn't a particular significant difference in both homemade and ready-made. And I will tell you why. I'll tell you why as we go on. Education matters. Some of us have mentioned the fact that homemade foods are healthier when you cook. And that's because you know what healthier means. You are aware of what it means to not consume a lot of salt. You are educated enough to know that one oil is better than the other, or when you know that brown options of cereals are healthier than the white options. Those are reasons that would influence your decision to make your meals and consume your homemade meals instead. Some people, even though may be educated, could actually also be educated in terms of understanding health. So when they go to the store, they choose the healthier options of these pre-cooked meals. So those are things that actually influence why we're making, we're consuming homemade meals, or we're consuming pre-cooked meals. Another thing is adverts and social media that affects me a lot. When I'm going through my Instagram, I don't know who else this affects. So I'm going through my Instagram. If I see a new recipe that is very, looks interesting, I want to try it out. How many people does this happen to? This happens to me a lot. I see it, I'm like, I want to give that a try. If this happens to you, just thumbs up. I know it happens to me a lot, really. When I'm looking at Facebook or I'm looking at Instagram, yeah, exactly. I'm looking at Instagram and I see something quite fascinating. I'm like, this looks interesting. I think I want to try that out. So yes, that's something else that influences whether we're going to be taking homemade foods or ready-made foods. Some even pictures get, Dr. Arabas, even pictures, you're not wrong. Even pictures get to me. Oh, Fantastic. So I'm not the only person in the boat. Thank you very much. So what are the differences between the homemade meals and the ready-made meals? I am not going to say yet which one is better, not yet, but I want to highlight these things. Now, studies have suggested that when you're consuming homemade meals, you're more likely going to be consuming more fruits and veg. That is what studies have suggested. When it is homemade, you are the one dictating the amount of vegetable, especially if it is when you're cooking, the amount of vegetable you're going to be putting in your food. Whether or not you're cooking it right is a different conversation. But the fact that you're actually introducing it, so studies have suggested you're more likely going to consume more fruits and vegetables when it is homemade than when it is ready-made. Now, salt and sugar content, that's another thing. Studies are implying, there are quite a few studies that imply that there is more consumption of salt and sugar in pre-cooked meals compared to homemade meals. But some other studies have actually said no, there isn't any particular significant difference in the salt and sugar content of these two kinds of meals. Now, fiber content, this would inform the amount of the fact that if it is homemade, you're more likely going to be consuming, you're also more likely going to be adding more vegetables in your food than if it was ready-made. In ready-made, you actually cannot say for sure how much vegetables have been added into the recipe. Studies have also implied that you're more likely going to have more saturated and total fat in ready-made meals than in homemade meals. There's another study that has said not particularly correct, and I will tell you why. But most importantly is portion size. You're more likely going to eat less in prepared meals, in pre-cooked meals, than in homemade meals. Who agrees with this? Who agrees or disagrees? Let me see more chats. Let me see, please. Who agrees or disagrees?
Can you repeat that last sentence again?
What I said was, if you have made your food, you're more likely going to consume more than if it was a pre-cooked meal that you bought. True or false? So 2 people have said true. Your portion size, well, it depends. Okay, somebody has said false. Okay, Araba is thinking. Araba, are you happy to tell us why you said it depends?
So if I've prepared my own food, I can always go for more and more and more, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what you are saying. That's the argument you're making.
So the quantity you're going to consume.
Yes.
At a sitting, if you go for more, you're adding to your portion size at the sitting.
Right.
So the quantity you're going to consume in that meal will be a lot more than what you would consume if you bought from the store.
I think the reason why I'm saying it depends is that assuming you have pizza, and then it's that large size, you decide to put the whole thing in the oven and you're just 2 of you, you can still have the whole of that if you're not controlling your portion sizes. I think that's why I said it depends. But I get the point you're making. There's that tendency for you to eat more of what you've cooked because it's on the stove and you can just go back and have more and more and more. So, well, that's my argument. That's why I said it depends.
Yeah, very, very valid argument. Because, especially with the pizza one that you have mentioned, yes. If you have bought a very large pizza and there are just 2 of you, you just keep eating. Okay, Martha said, if I have takeaway, I would definitely have more food than the one that you have cooked. Okay, that's very interesting. Yeah, if you have takeaway. But then let's look at it this way. The takeaway is a portion, isn't it? When you're buying for yourself, they're selling a portion of it to you. probably a 1 liter bowl of, let's say, Chinese fried rice, you know. But if you made it yourself, yeah, the portions can be massive, true. But looking at a typical, I'm going to use the Chinese fried rice now. Looking at it, it's usually a 1 liter bowl for a Chinese fried rice. That's what we have in Chester anyway. Meanwhile, if I made my own Chinese fried rice in the house, there's a very, very like higher chance that I'm going to eat more than a liter bowl of rice. Does that make sense? If you are buying, they have a portion, they have their designated portion size for every food that you're buying. Okay, so if you want to eat more, then you know that you're buying more portion size. Does that make sense? Unlike if you cooked it yourself, you would dish whatever you want to dish, except if you are very, very conscious. Yes, thank you very much, Evans. Thank you. So the portion size is another very, very important factor to consider when you're trying to decide whether homemade foods are healthier or better than pre-cooked meals. So let's continue. Thank you so much for your interaction so far. You're making it very interesting. How many people have heard of ultra-processed foods? If you have heard of it, just say yes, you have. Okay, Fatima said, I think the level of awareness and education of the individual determines how mindful they are of how much they eat. Absolutely right. That's absolutely right. So, who has heard about ultra-processed foods? If you have not heard about it, just put in comment, please, that you have not heard about it. Okay, thank you. Fatima has. Who else? Jean has. Thank you. Evan hasn't. Okay, I would explain. I just want to have an idea of how many. Who else has not heard about ultra-processed foods? Okay, so now let me talk about the definition of ultra-processed foods. Processed foods. Now, this group, they call themselves Nova people. They have divided our foods that we consumed into 4 groups. The unprocessed or minimally processed foods. Those will be the fruits and veg, the frozen ones, and the canned ones that are in their water and not in brine or syrup. Yogurts, especially the homemade yogurts. If you have just boiled rice, that is seen as especially the brown rice, that is seen as the minimally processed or unprocessed foods. And then we have the processed culinary, in which case salt, sugar, oil, you know, those are seen as second grade. And then you have the processed foods. The processed foods will typically be what you cook in the house, what you have cooked yourself in the house. And it could be also be cream cheese, ham, bacon, and things like that. And then you then have the ultra-processed foods. The best definition for ultra-processed foods, I got this from British Heart Foundation, is foods that contain preservatives, emulsifiers, sweeteners, artificial colors, and flavors. They would have gone through a significant amount of processing. So example would be the crisps, the fruit-flavored yogurts, carbonated drinks, the cakes, the all other confectionaries. Those are seen as ultra-processed foods. But most importantly, they will contain preservatives, emulsifiers, sweeteners, artificial colors, and flavors. And most of our pre-cooked or frozen foods, the pre-packed ones that we buy from these stores, are actually ultra-processed. So we all consume bread. So that is an example of an ultra-processed food. Now, a bread that has been home-baked is not an example of an ultra-processed food because it will not contain any preservative in it. But bread that has been industrially baked, especially the ones that we buy in the store, the agege bread we buy in the African store, the normal sliced or whole sliced, thick sliced, white, brown, whatever that we buy in the stores, because they will contain some preservatives in them, they are seen as ultra-processed foods. This breakfast cereal that we consume, they're also seen as ultra-processed foods. And then sausages and other pre-constituted meat products are examples of ultra-processed foods. These are the top ultra-processed foods that are consumed in the United Kingdom. And most of these foods that we eat, they actually fall in this ultra-processed foods category. Now, there was a study that was done in 2018, that was published in 2018, where they looked at the effect of ultra-processed foods and health. And looking at it, they said that the average calories that were consumed by participants, well, it was the NDNS, the National Diet and Nutrition Survey for the United Kingdom. And they said average consumed by the population that they looked at, they consumed about 1,700 calories. That's just a typical number of calories a typical human being, putting together males and female, would consume. And they said that 56.8% of these calories came from ultra-processed foods. And according to the studies, they also said that the more ultra-processed foods that were consumed, more carbohydrates were consumed, more free sugars were consumed, more total fats were consumed, more saturated fats were consumed, more sodium was consumed. However, on the contrary, less protein, less fiber, less potassium was consumed as a result of increased consumption of ultra-processed foods. Now, these are all ultra-processed foods to put together. Let's bear that in mind. And studies have suggested, again, that this increased consumption of ultra-processed foods increase the risk of non-communicable diseases, mainly because of these same things. We've talked about free sugars here many times. We've talked about the types of fats we should be consuming, and we've talked about sodium. Sodium will significantly increase cardiovascular diseases. The free sugars, the fats, the saturated fat will significantly increase the risk of obesity, which is also a significant risk factor for all the other non-communicable diseases. But like I said earlier, that some studies have suggested that home-cooked meals and ready pre-cooked, they are not particularly different. And why? It is largely dependent on the recipe you are using. The intentionality and the level of education of the person that is cooking goes a very, very long way. I've said that social media significantly impacts on my food, on what I cook. So you can imagine if I've seen a recipe and the recipe is asking me to use ghee instead of olive oil, or is asking me to use coconut oil instead of vegetable oil. Does that make sense? So those are the reasons why there might, in some cases, there might not be any significant difference in homemade, in the nutritional implication of homemade meals versus the pre-cooked meals. So, which is why it is very, very essential that you're making healthier substitutes when you're choosing to do your home-cooked meals or to consume your home-cooked meals. And when you're choosing to buy the pre-cooked meals, it is very essential that you're reading the food label. If there are preservatives in it, artificial colorings and all, on their own, not that they are bad, but then habitual consumption of these things, well, studies are suggesting may actually increase the risk of non-communicable disease. I don't think it is the sweeteners or the preservatives on its own. No, I think it is looking at the pre-cooked meal holistically now, that is what could then increase the risk of non-communicable diseases. Now, let's look at fruits and vegetables.
Please, can you explain to you? Oh, sorry, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
When you say looking at a pre-cooked meal holistically, what do you mean by that?
Now, when you're looking at it holistically, even though they have told us that it will be cooked foods that contain preservatives, colorings, artificial flavors, they are ultra processed foods. You need to look at the holistic components of that food. You need to look at nutrients. That is why you're looking at the food label. You need to look at the nutritional composition of that food, pre-cooked food, for you to determine whether it is good for you or not. Don't just be, there are lots of arguments. Okay, let me say it this way. There are lots of arguments about this ultra-processed definition of foods. And that's because people are choosing to look at, so some researchers are choosing to look at the food holistically. So it is possible for you to buy, I'm trying to think now, healthier version. There is the healthier version of lasagna, for example. I've seen that in Iceland. I've seen that before. And I think they used very, very lean meat, and they probably used more vegetables. So even though it would contain preservatives to keep it longer, to increase its shelf life, the fact that it would contain lean meat or less meat, and it would contain very high quantity of vegetables compared to the normal, typical, standard lasagna, which an individual might want to make at home, might probably make that food, even though ultra-processed, healthier than the homemade. Am I making any sense? Okay, silence.
Yes, you are.
Yes, okay, all right, thank you. So that's why you need to look at it holistically. The fact that it contains preservatives, blah, 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 might be an indication, but it is very essential that you're looking at the ingredient list, and you're looking at the food label, and you're looking at the traffic lights. That would give you an indication whether this pre-cooked meal is healthy or not a healthy option. And if you're choosing to make yours of the same food, then you are telling yourself, you need to be telling yourself that you need to make yours a healthy version. So where the recipe is asking for saturated fat, is there any reason why you cannot use unsaturated fat? If there's any reason you cannot use olive oil, will the use of olive oil completely change the organoleptic characteristics of the food that you're making so much that it will impact on your satisfaction? Because that also matters. So now let's look at fresh, frozen, and canned foods. My question, how many people believe that fresh fruits and vegetables are better than frozen or canned fruits and vegetables? I would like to see. Chat, please. Come on. T. Brown, do you believe that fresh fruits and veg are better than canned and frozen? Is that what true means?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Who else believes in this? Who else has this mindset that fresh fruits and vegetables, they're free of preservatives, okay? Jean has said that if you think fresh and frozen are similar in what context? Sakina has said that fresh fruits are free of preservatives, correct? Okay, correct. Frozen fruits and veg. Now we're concentrating on fruits and veg now. Frozen fruits and veg too could be very free of preservatives, depending on when the freezing has happened. Nutritional value, very good. Thank you for saying that. In terms of nutritional value, Jean has said that they are similar. Martha said, depends what it is. Fresh fruits are better, but frozen vegetables are okay. Okay, Thank you for noting that. So, okay, all right. Okay, any more before I ask my next question? But Martha, is it okay to ask you a question? Why do you think that fresh fruits are better than frozen fruits?
Most frozen or canned fruits tend to have, very often they don't come in water, you know, they come in some sort of syrup or something. If they come in normal water, they might be okay, but mostly they don't.
Thank you very much. Valid point, Martha. Fatima said some studies show that they have same nutritional value. Accessibility is key. Thank you very, 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 very much for saying this, Fatima, which is what I'm going to go to the next slide now. Now, there are many reasons for freezing or canning foods.
Yeah, that is right.
Food safety is essential.
Nutritional value.
It helps to keep the food safe. The freezing will not kill the microorganisms, but will inhibit their activities and their growth. The canning will kill maybe not 100%, but a very, 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 very significant proportion of the pathogenic organisms of food spoilage and food spoilage organisms. And as a result, the shelf life of the food product is extended. Now, depending on when the freezing and the canning happens, counting from when the fruits have been harvested, you are able to preserve the freshness of these fruits and veg, preserving the organoleptic properties. Now, availability, and thank you, Fatima, for mentioning that. I think that was Fatima. Availability in terms of accessibility and cost is essential. Some fruits and some canned, not all, let's bear that in mind. Some canned fruits and vegetables are actually cheaper than the fresh options. Now, in terms of nutrient availability and bioavailability, some fresh fruits and vegetables will contain something called anti-nutrients. These anti-nutrients bind with the micronutrients, making them unavailable to us when we consume them. Canning helps to break off these micronutrients from these anti-nutrients, increasing the bioavailability of these micronutrients when we consume the canned option. Now, nutrient availability, let me talk a bit more about that. The moment the fruits of veg has been harvested, deterioration begins. It is just what it is. So what you're trying to do is which you want to choose, which one has which one has more of the nutrients. That's what you're interested in. But you see, it depends on the nutrients. It depends on the fruit. There are some nutrients that are temperature and heat sensitive. Example, vitamin C. So during canning of these vitamin C, the foods that are sufficient, have great sources of vitamin C, they lose significant amounts of vitamin C. That is it. But there are some that are very heat stable. Example, folate. Folate is heat stable. So during canning, it is not lost. Not that it is not lost. It's only a small percentage of it that is lost to heat. Now, it's also a factor of the temperature at which the can is being heated and the length of time, the length of time that the can is being heated. That will also influence the quantity or the nutritional value of the canned fruits of veg. Another point that you want to consider is if it is frozen and you're thawing, dripping happens, which then means that there's a significant loss of the water-soluble microorganisms. And then rate of loss is also dependent on the food produced and the nutrients. But let's look at vitamin C. Can we all see this graph, please? Just say yes if you can.
Yes.
Thank you. So this is the point of harvest. Okay, pink is, this is data that has looked at many fruits and veg that contain vitamin C. Okay, at room temperature, in less than 10 days, the whole vitamin C is gone. Gone. When the food is chilled, it might last up to 20 days. By between 20 and 30 days, then you have lost the vitamin C in that fruit or veg. When it is frozen, this is well over 4 months. You still have almost 70% of the amount of vitamin C that you had at the point of harvest. So this is just a typical example of the benefits of freezing. Now, if it was heating, you would, at the point of heating for canning, within the hours of harvesting, yes, you would lose a significant quantity of vitamin C. I tried to look for this kind of table for in the United Kingdom, but I didn't find it. But I thought this, because United States and United Kingdom were both, what's it called now, developed countries, I thought it might be similar. Can you see this table? And you can see, first of all, looking at the nutrient indices, they are now looking at nutritional value, nutritional density as a whole, not a particular nutrient whatsoever. It's just looking at food and vitamins in general. And if you look, except for carrots, except for carrots, in fact, I'm going to disregard carrots, except for spinach and turnip greens, where the fresh is significantly more nutritionally dense than the frozen or the canned. All others are about the same. And now let's look at the costs. Fresh in some cases, in most cases, are more expensive than the canned, but not always for frozen. And for asparagus, and it turns out that the fresh is actually cheaper than the canned or the frozen. This is for vegetables. Let's look at fruits. In terms of fruits, it is about the same thing, really. So what is recommended? The best practice is to have a combination, because you cannot have it. There is no one better than the other in terms of health implication, because not everybody is able to access fresh fruits and veg at all times. So accessibility is very, very important. And we are not supposed to stop eating fruits and veg. We're supposed to continue to eat fruits and veg. So we cannot say that because I don't have access to fresh fruits and veg, then I'm not going to consume. Consumption of the canned or the frozen options are allowed. As a matter of fact, in the United Kingdom, be it frozen or fresh or canned, they all count towards the 5 a day. So in general, looking at it holistically now, I'm not looking at specific facts now, I'm looking at it holistically now. Studies have suggested that there isn't particularly any significant difference when it comes to health implication when you're comparing fresh, frozen, and canned. That being said, as earlier mentioned by one of us, it is important that the form of storage of the canned You will need to bear that in mind. If it is stored in brine or stored in syrup, then we don't want that option, because that means that we're increasing our sodium intake and we're increasing our free sugar consumption. Oh, and then that's the end of the presentation. Do we have any question?
I often have concerns about the cans or the tins and the plastics that the things are in. That's why I try to avoid as much as possible. I do have to get it sometimes, but I try to avoid if it's not in glass.
If you're able to access fresh all the time, no problem. But also bear in mind that the longer the fresh it's taking, it is deteriorating. Bear that in mind. Have I introduced more confusion than helping here?
I don't think so. I think what I'm gathering from what you're saying is that a lot of us tend to avoid buying the tinned and the frozen ones, because we have that perception that those ones are not healthy enough. Those, nutritionally, those are. And a few weeks ago, there was one popular, and I was telling you, talking about this morning, there's one very popular black musician, who put it on his Twitter that something about the fact that frozen vegetables are unhealthy. And this is someone who has a lot of followers on social media. So what that is doing is telling people not to have frozen vegetables. But what you're saying, and I like the response you gave, is that if you can have the fresh vegetables all the time, fair enough.
Fair enough.
Because you're not saying people should ditch the fresh ones.
No.
But the issue is accessibility. There are times, I mean, when we went into lockdown, you remember there were some shops that didn't have fresh fruits.
Exactly.
So we don't want people to stop eating fruits and vegetables because they cannot get access to fresh ones.
Correct.
Because the evidence shows that those are equally nutritionally adequate.
Yes.
I think that's the message I am getting from what you're saying. But if people can get access to fresh fruits all the time, fair enough. People would argue that it tastes better. So yes, some people say that. And you forgot to talk about the cooking.
The cooking, yes. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah. So most of the time, when you buy the frozen vegetables, it will say cook from frozen, and which was why I mentioned the dripping. If you cook from frozen, you are minimizing the dripping, and then minimizing the amount of water-soluble vitamins or minerals that you'll be losing. But if you allow it to thaw first, then you are significantly reducing the nutritional value of the frozen fruits or veg. So it is best practice, cook from frozen, if you are choosing to use the frozen option. If you are choosing to buy the canned option, then buy the ones that have been stored in water only and not in brine or in syrup. That's it.
Can I come in again? So I've seen certain health coaches, emphasizing on, make sure for healthy eating, you eat fresh. There's a lot of emphasis on that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I like the fact that you brought in the research. That's what we do as researchers. The research has been done, and they have compared all of these 3 different varieties, as in frozen versus tin. And it shows that there really isn't much difference when it comes to the nutrient content. So that's what we try to do when we are doing these sessions.
The benefits in one, you would like for example, where it's fresh, if you cannot keep it for long, it starts to deteriorate. So for example, look at the vitamin C, for example. You will get that if in the frozen. Do you get? So which is why the best practice is combination.
And it goes back to the recommendation by the Eat Well guide, when they say have a variety. I think
variety.
Yeah. My go-to pack is that mixed vegetable, and it's £1. The way I like that
exactly.
Mixed vegetable,
it is so
you have a bit of
so
everything
convenient.
in there. it's so convenient, you know. So every now and then, yes, you're having your fresh vegetables, but have the frozen ones as well.
Yeah.
You know,
it's not until you eat fresh salad that you have eaten fruit and veg. It's not until then. If you have your frozen that you cook, that's still part of your 5 a day. Any other question? Because our time is fast.
I think just back to that same question, the person who had concerns about the tint, and if people, and you would know if you have a reaction or an allergy to one of those preservatives, then yes, but that it's just it's not, a lot of people would not react. If you do, I don't know. I'm just saying, if anybody thinks that they react, you doubt if anyone will react.
Frozen fruits and veg,
not even frozen.
They don't particularly have
no, the tin ones. Would they not have added
canned
anything?
ones would have
exactly.
The canned ones would have sugar or salt.
Right.
Because of the ultra heat processing, they really do not need
any preservatives.
Yes. But however, a very important fact is that there could be the leaching of the canned content in
so that's what I was concerned about.
So which is why, which is I think also contributes to the taste. That contributes to differences in the taste when you're comparing the fresh and the frozen. But if you don't mind the taste, and it's not that you're completely binging on canned, which is why I said combination, variety is actually the best practice, you know.
Right. So, I particularly, just for personal reasons, I not any scientific evidence behind it. I don't like the canned ones. I like the frozen ones. So I eat the frozen ones the fresh ones. Yeah, most of the times. Because, it's not all the time that you have time to go and get the fresh ones. So when you have the frozen ones, it's very, very convenient. Okay, I'll stop talking now, Tokumbo, so you can wrap up the session.
All right, then. So thank you so much. I hope you have all learned something and you have all enjoyed the session. And thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate. Thank you for the interaction. It made it very interesting. Thank you. So now we hand over to, I don't remember his name now, during the physical activity. Can somebody help me?
So that's a sign that you've not been doing the physical activity.
Yes.
We caught you there. Orlando.
You got me. Orlando. Yes, Orlando. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sukumbo. Okay, over to you, Orlando.
Thank you, Shekinah. That was you. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Healthy Hearts fitness session. As promised, today we have an upper body session coming your way. So hope everybody will stay on and take part. So for today's session, all you need is a nice big open space and plenty of water. And because we're mostly hitting the upper body, you won't need any mats today. All right, so plenty of space, plenty of water, and plenty of energy. Let's do this. All right, so let's start with a warm-up. Get my tune ready. We're just going to start with some side steps for 30 seconds. We're just going to go here and then here for 30 seconds. Let's go, people. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Side steps. Really emphasize the upper body part. Pull them shoulders up nice and strong.
Aching marks reduced.
3, 2, 1. Next one, reaching forward. Really stretch them shoulders, stretch the arms.
Aching marks reduced.
Stay nice and long, really stretch those arms. 3, 2, 1. Next, we've got torso twist. I'm really going to lead with the elbows. Let's go.
AK marks reduced.
3, 2, 1. Okay, rest there for 15 seconds, people. Ten seconds.
AK marks reduced.
Going straight back into this warm up. 3, 2, 1. Okay, next one. Touch the knees. I'm going to touch the ceiling. All right, touch the knees, slight bend in the knees, and then reach nice and tall to the ceiling. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
AK marks reduced.
Keep that going, people. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Arm circles. Start dive around. Forwards. Arm backwards. Same arm.
Reduced.
Same down.
AK mark reduced.
Change direction. One last one, hip rotations. Change direction. Front to back. 3, 2, 1. Rest before rest. So another point I didn't mention, if you want to enhance any of today's moves and increase the resistance, if you have any dumbbells or kettlebells or big bottles of drink around, you can bring those in to enhance the movements tonight, okay? If not, you can just use body weight alone and just really replicate having that weight in your hand, whatever we do. All right, 15 seconds, and we're going to go into our first circuit. Okay, people, listen in. So as per usual, we've got 2 rounds, 4 exercises per round, and each movement will do for, I said 60 seconds. I'm going to work at a rate of around 6, 10 being the hardest, 1 being sat on the couch chilling. All right, I want to work at around a 6. If you can get to a 7 or 8, then push yourself to that. But I'm happy with us staying at around a 6. All right, so first move, we're hitting all 3 heads of the shoulder. This is called the Arnold press. So you've got your weights here, or body weight only. And from there, we're just going to rotate the shoulders up and press up. Okay, then reverse the movement coming back. So reverse it, bang, back to the middle. So we're here, pushing out and around, up, squeeze the shoulders, reverse the movement, boom, squeeze the shoulders. From there, we've got double bent over rolls. So we've got slight bend in the knees, hips over, And with the weights or body weight, we're just going to pull them elbows right in, pull the elbows right into the ribs, nice and strong. All right, so we're going to be here. As we come to here, we want to squeeze those biceps, squeeze the back, and try and pull the shoulder blades together. All right, so we're going to go from here, Arnold press, rest afterwards, to here, double bent over rows. All right, people, let's get busy now. Come on. Let's start now. Get ready. Start with the shoulder press in 3.
No one is like what they did.
Let's go.
Let's unite with the person find out what you black do a white. One side, so we have been one side, so we have been one side. Then them is a cat, and them have been one side. Then them Christians, everything is one side. Coming on the face on your face, right? You're coming on the face, so you feel right. Then them is a cat, they might be just like say one side, and everything is all right.
Keep that going, people. Keep that going. Arnold press. Keep that going. 20 seconds to go. Keep that going. Last 10 seconds. Whoa, now rest, people. Quick rest. 20-second rest.
Some love back, everything's all right. One side, so we have been one side, so we have been one side. Then them is a cat, and we have been one side. Then them Christians, everything is all right. Coming on the face on your
Ready, bent over rows. 4, 3,
then them is a cat, they might be just one side, everything is all right. Right, the shade, okay.
People bring those shoulder blades together. Bring the elbows to the hips. Keep that going, people. 15 seconds.
One side, so we have been one side, so we have been one side. Then them is a cat, and we have been one side. Then them Christians, everything is all right. Coming on the face on your face, right? You're coming on the face on your face, right? Then them is a cat, they might be just
Rest, people. 2 down. Take on some water. Shake those arms and shoulders off. Okay, listening while you're resting. Next 2 moves. You're gonna hit the front of the shoulder. All right, so we've got front raises. So again, with your weights or without, we're gonna go here. Legs around hip width, arms in front of the thighs. We're just gonna raise into the shoulders and squeeze the shoulders. Come down nice and slow. One from this angle. Raise, squeeze, down like this slow. Okay, from there, we've got diagonal press. We're gonna do one side at a time. So if you have a weight, put it in either hand here. We'll go there, press. Turning the hips, we're pushing towards the ceiling. So we're there for 30, and then we'll change hands, and then we're there for 30. Okay, so front raises to diagonal push. Let's get ready, people. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Front raises. Come on, people. 20 seconds to go. Here we go. Last 10. Three, two, one. Now rest, people. 20-second rest. Next move, we've got 5 seconds. Diagonal press. Stay on one side at a time. Get ready. 2, 1. Let's go. Come on, people. 10 seconds on that side. Keep pressing. Keep pushing. 2, 1. Change sides. Keep going, people. 3, 2, 1. And that's time, people. Well done. Circuit number 1 complete. All right, take 30 seconds. Shake that body off. Take on some water. Then we're right back. 10 seconds, people. Okay, people. Okay, let's get into round number 2, circuit number 2. All right, so first move, we're going to hit the upper back, biceps, and core. Right, so we've got upright rolls. So again, if you've got weights, you hold your weights right in front of you, right in front of your thighs. If not, that's fine. So from there, we're going to drag the weights up the body, flare those elbows out, and just come up with the clavicle here, strut above the chest. Once you get to there, squeeze the upper back, squeeze the biceps, and then we're going to reverse the movement nice and slow. Just watch from this angle. Coming up, squeeze, coming down nice and slow. From there, we've got lateral raises. So again, weights in the hand if you've got them. I'm just going to go out to the side here, like so. Lateral raises, squeezing the shoulder at the top, nice tight squeeze, come down nice and slow, up, squeeze, down nice and slow. Okay, so from upright rows to the lateral raises, 60 seconds a piece. Let's get ready, people. Ready, people. Let's go on the drop this time. Get ready. Right, rolls first. Let's get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Keep that going, people. Fifteen seconds to go. Three, two, one. Okay, shake that body up. 20 seconds. Lateral ring neck, get ready. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Nice squeeze at the top. Come on, people. Seconds. Three, two, one. Now rest, people. Shake off 20 seconds. Okay, people, last 2 moves while you're resting. All right, so again, we're going to go one side at a time again. Tricep kickbacks. So hips bent over, weight in one hand if you've got a weight, elbow tucked in to the ribs. And from there, we should extend the triceps and squeeze. So extend that tricep and squeeze. Okay, both sides. So here, extend the tricep and squeeze, like so. Okay, from there, we've got reverse flies. So going to bend over here, arms tucked in, we're going to go bang. Really bringing those shoulder blades together. So here, bang, there. Okay, so the tricep kickbacks, 30 seconds a piece, the dumbbell flies, right there. Okay, let's go, people. Ready, tricep kickbacks in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Keep that going, people. Keep that going. 10 seconds, stay on that side. 3, 2, 1, change sides. Keep that going. 3, 2, 1, I'm ready. Last move coming up, people. Ten seconds. Okay, get ready. Dumbbell flies in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Bring those shoulder blades right together. Back on, people. Halfway. 15 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Last time, people. Well done. All right, take a 30-second walk break, and then we'll stretch off. Well done. Okay, people, bring it back to the middle. Let's bring that body back down. So let's start with the neck. Let's go neck side to side. Nice and gentle. Okay, arms down, ear to shoulder. Okay, either arm across the chest, pull beside the elbow. Same on behind the head, pull beside the elbow. Change arms. Same arm behind the head, pull beside the elbow. Last one. Let's rotate the hips nice and slow. Change direction. Take it all off. And boom, that's time, people. Well done. Cracking session, people. Is kind of in the building as per usual?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Thank you so much for that workout, Orlando. Anyone can use the chat on Zoom, on YouTube, on Facebook. Let us know how you found that workout session. Orlando, back to you. How are you feeling and what can we expect for next week as well?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good. I had a pretty heavy weight session yesterday, and I've got a basketball game tonight, so it actually felt good to kind of switch my muscles on and activate my nervous system ready for later on. So I feel good. And I hope everyone is at home, whether you watched on YouTube or Facebook or Zoom. Hope you got fully involved and you enjoyed yourself and you got something out of it.
Amazing, amazing. And what can we be expecting for next week as well?
So next week we're going to work the core because the summer is around the corner, and everybody wants those washboard abs, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah.
all the muscles of the core next week in a circuit.
Amazing, amazing. That's great. And also a shout out to Dr. Hibbert and Dr. Takumbo again for that talk. Next week, we'll be talking about eating disorders among young adults. So stay tuned because next week's session is going to be another amazing one. Yeah, so we'll see you guys next week from 6 p.m. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your evening. Bye.
Peace. Bye.